Welcome to today's Explainer. We're diving straight into one of those universal, pull-your-hair-out frustrations of modern software development. I mean, if you've spent literally any time coding alongside AI assistants lately, you already know the drill, right? You get these incredible highs, but also those deeply annoying lows. Well, today we're unpacking a brilliant piece of analysis from tech journalist Manor Faisal. She actually realized that the biggest headache with our AI tools isn't a lack of intelligence. It's actually something way more surprising. So we're going to break down exactly why our AI assistants keep breaking our code, and much more importantly, how a single, carefully crafted sentence can just fix the whole thing. But first, think about your own workflow for a second. Why do we keep firing our AI? Seriously, why is it that our very first instinct, the second a coding agent stops giving us exactly what we want, is to just ditch it and look for the next shiny new tool? It's kind of a wild behavioral pattern when you think about it. We definitely don't do this with our IDEs. We don't do it with our traditional programming languages. But with AI, man, our patience is just remarkably thin. And that leads us right into the tool hopping trap. I'm willing to bet this cycle is going to sound incredibly familiar. You start out using ChatGPT. Things are going great. And then it hallucinates a library or just fundamentally whiffs on a block of logic. You get frustrated, so you switch over to Claude. And Claude feels like this amazing breath of fresh air until it suddenly starts annoying you too. So then you jump to Gemini, or maybe you rip out your integrated coding agent entirely for a completely different platform. As Manor Faisal points out, a lot of developers right now think that switching LLM providers is the only way to get better results. But actually, scratch that. The real problem usually isn't the underlying model at all. It's how we're prompting it. All right, let's get right into Section 1, Codex's overcoding problem. So, Faisal recently decided to give the AI agent Codex another try after stepping away for a bit. And she noticed it had actually improved a lot, so she started using it in her daily workflow. But the more time she spent with it, the more she hit this massive, glaring issue that kept totally derailing her progress. It wasn't that Codex was failing to write code. It was doing something arguably much worse. Let's break down the anatomy of this overcoding process. Step 1. You give the AI a totally straightforward task. A minor bug fix, a tiny UI tweak. You step away for a sec. Step 2. You come back and the AI hasn't just made the fix. Nope. It took the liberty of introducing brand new abstractions and refactoring surrounding code that was already working perfectly fine. Then comes step 3. To top it all off, it starts adding all these defensive guards for hypothetical edge cases that aren't even relevant to your app. So your tiny one-line request has magically mutated into this massive pull request of unprompted improvements. The core realization here is that Codex has a serious tendency to do far, far more than actually asked. And it's a really profound irony in the current state of AI. Think about it. For years, we were all so worried that AI wouldn't be smart enough to do what we told it. But today, doing way too much has ironically become its biggest flaw. We aren't fighting incompetence anymore, guys. We're literally fighting overzealousness. Which brings us to Section 2, the curse of autonomy. Okay, so why exactly is this happening? Well, it gets super interesting when you look at models like OpenAI's GPT-5.6 Sol, which is their newest, most powerful model right now. It actually explains everything about this frustrating behavior. AI labs are aggressively pushing to make these models capable of long-running, autonomous work. They want agents that can just roam around a codebase completely on their own, break massive tasks down into smaller steps, and just keep grinding for hours without any hand-holding from you. They are literally being trained to spot adjacent issues and just fix them on the fly. But this creates a pretty sharp double-edged sword. When you hand the AI a massively complicated project, like, say, migrating a legacy database, that autonomy absolutely shines. You want it taking the initiative. But on the flip side, when the task is simple, that exact same autonomy violently backfires. The AI basically looks at your narrow, simple request not as a strict instruction, but as a fun excuse to go poking around your codebase looking for other stuff to, quote-unquote, improve. And boom, that is exactly how your simple little bug patch turns into a completely unprompted architectural overhaul. All right, let's look at how to fix this. Section 3, the one-line boundary. So how do we tame this thing? How do we keep the incredible intelligence of these autonomous models, but stop them from basically rewriting our entire application every time we ask for a simple typo correction? Well, Faisal's research gives us a deeply satisfying, super actionable payoff here. You don't need to switch tools again. You don't need some complex custom API integration. You just need one single line of text. She started appending this exact line to the end of all her prompts. Quote, Make the smallest change that fully solves the task. Do not add abstractions, fallbacks, defensive guards, refactors, or features unless they're strictly required. That's it. Pasting this specific phrasing acts as an immediate, highly effective cure for the overcoding problem. What we're really doing here is shifting into a totally new prompting paradigm: boundary setting. See, the old way of prompting was basically micromanagement. We try to list out every single file the AI should touch and exactly what logic it should use. But honestly, that kind of defeats the whole purpose of having a smart AI. Boundary setting is different. We are simply instructing the AI on what not to do. It's like we're drawing a fence around the workspace. We aren't telling Codex exactly how to solve the problem. We're just putting a strict, unyielding limit on its scope. Moving right along to Section 4, the power of restraint. The results you get from this philosophical shift are genuinely incredible. It completely transforms the AI's daily performance, taking it from this unpredictable liability right back to being a highly reliable assistant. We've finally achieved that delicate balance: restraint without losing reasoning power. And honestly, that is the holy grail. By using that one-line boundary, Codex still has the complete freedom to inspect your code. It still uses that massive neural network to think deeply through complex problems. You aren't lobotomizing the tool. You're just explicitly telling it that spitting out an elaborate, massive solution is not the definition of a good job. The true goal is to solve the task with the absolute minimum amount of unnecessary work. So, to fully adopt this less is more paradigm, here are your quick takeaways to implement today. First, avoid loading your prompts up with a massive 50-point list of rules. That just confuses the model and wastes your time. Second, make sure you maintain the AI's freedom to reason independently. Third, clearly define the victory condition, which is solving the task with minimal work. And finally, just remember the core philosophy: doing more isn't doing a better job. Managing advanced, highly autonomous AI like GPT-5.6 Sol isn't about pushing it to think harder anymore. It's entirely about setting strict guardrails. Which leaves us with this final, somewhat provocative thought to chew on as we wrap up today's explainer. As we move into this wild new era where models have immense autonomy and literally the intelligence to redesign whole systems in seconds, if AI is just continuously getting smarter and more capable, is the future of your job no longer about telling the computer what to do, but simply having the wisdom to tell it when to stop? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Definitely try dropping that boundary prompt into your next coding session, and I'll catch you in the next one.